Bon dia, my beloveds. Again, this is Sophia. So I've already spoken to you about two things, both building a garden and stepping away from your attachment to technology. Step number 3 is to disconnect from the news. I myself have not had a television for 35 years. And I bring my phone with me only under necessity, like a long road trip or something. But I am very much about being in the natural world. And I don't have a television. I don't read the news very intentionally because I don't want any of that coming into my ethers. Most of it, from my perspective, is a lie designed to create fear, designed to create instability. And it's become almost impossible to figure out what's really true. So what do you think your life would be like if you stopped relying on the news to guide you, but you started to think about things like alegria? I'm very fortunate because I get to call myself a student of a tribe deep in the Brazilian Amazon rainforest, where I study their spirituality and I learn a lot of things about the natural world and the spirit world. I am a humble student of this tribe and I feel grateful to be able to claim being a student of theirs. And this tribe has students all over the world. And so what they say all the time is sol alegria, which is a Brazilian Portuguese word for only joy. So if you stop using the information that you get on your television and the news as a guideline, and you start dropping into your own intuitive knowing after spending time in nature, after building a garden, after reconnecting with your kids, after eye-gazing with your friends and family, then I use in my life this idea of alegria. As my North Star, it guides me. If it's alegria, I move towards it. If it's not alegria, I pivot and move away from it. I will tell you that I know someone who used to kind of maniacally watch the news, listen to the news, read a million papers every day, like 6 papers a day. And this individual was literally driving themselves absolutely crazy, because their rage and their feelings of helplessness and hopelessness to do anything about the current global situation, much less the community situation in which they were living, felt completely out of their control. And we spent a long time talking about what would it be like if you stopped listening to so much news. And it's taken this individual a very long time. But over this very long time, they have disconnected more and more and more. And what they report to me is that they're happier and happier and happier, more internally balanced, more integrated, and they feel more whole. So here's what I've noticed. And by the way, it's never my intention to convince anybody of anything. I'm simply sharing my perspective with you in the hopes that it might generate some inquiring inside of yourself, inquiring with your friends and family. Take what works, leave the rest. I'm not here to convince you of anything, only to share my thoughts. So before I go to my computer, I'll just share with you that I find this current administration very interesting because they are using propaganda as a way to change what we believe. So this concept of fake news, it's really taking a page from the Nazi playbook, from actually the playbook that Hitler used, to convince an entire nation of one belief system, regardless of what the individual actually believed. So propaganda can be used for good or it can be used for something else, and we have to be really aware of it. And let me tell you what propaganda actually is. Propaganda is used to deliberately spread information, often biased or misleading, to influence public opinion and promote a specific cause or point of view, aiming to persuade people to believe or act in a certain way. It can be used to convince people to support a political candidate, buy a product, or to adopt a particular ideology. Some of the key points around propaganda are that it's not meant to present a neutral perspective, but rather to sway people's opinions through pervasive techniques. It often uses emotional language, imagery, or symbols to trigger strong reactions and bypass critical thinking. It may present only certain facts or distort information to support a desired narrative, and it can be disseminated through various channels like speeches, posters, media, and social networks. So I mentioned propaganda because I think there's an awful lot of that that's going on, and I think that it's not a particularly good thing. And I think that because it does tend to overshadow the individual's capacity to critically think, we need to be aware of it. And one of the best ways to navigate through this kind of density is to step away from the news. I don't think that there's anything good in it. And I think we can learn a lot of things by connection, not isolation and disconnection. And so when I hear comments like fake news, I'm here to tell you that is propaganda. And over time, it does tend to make people think that up is down and black is white, and so on and so forth. When I hear something like Truth Social, there is no truth that's really currently being disseminated. So let's not deal with that. I don't listen to things that aren't true. I don't say things that aren't true. I find the truth inside myself, and I find the truth when I spend time in nature. I am a critical thinker and I'm highly analytical, and I read. So reading books, which is very different than listening to audio tapes, and engaging with the natural world. Again, this would be the foundation to the health and well-being, not just of the individual, but of the communities and our culture at large. So I think it's just super important for all of us to be aware of what propaganda is and how it's insidious, and how it creeps into all of this social networking that people are doing. It's creeping into the language that people are using, and it's full and informing and saturating whatever news is coming at the individual today. So this is my piece or more around technology, propaganda, and how if we step away from the news, what do you think would happen to this entire country if everybody decided to stop watching the news? What if there was literally no audience for the news? Then something would have to shift about the news. So as a way to take power back, as a way to control your environment, as a way to create more self-agency, how about if you stop watching and reading so much news? For myself, I do none of that, but that might be a hard pill for people to swallow. So do what you can. I support you completely. Give it a shot and see how you feel. Thank you.